Bizarre Brain Comics. Huh? Take that! Oh! Oh, you are here! Greetings! The barbarian Magnus of the Feral Horde here to tell you a tale. And it is a tale from this is Chamber of Chills #2, Marvel Comics, 1972. And you look at that and say, hey, is that not a horror comic? Well, yes it is. Then why is it being introduced by a barbarian? That is because the tale we have to tell today is a tale of sword and sorcery, featuring Brak the Barbarian, wielding his mighty sword against the evil of sorcery. Yes. And this tale, this is called The Spell of the Dragon, featuring Brak the Barbarian, by John Jakes, and drawn by Val Mayerik. John Jakes is an American writer. He's written earlier in his career. He started with science fiction, such as Six Gun Planet, fantasy, such as Brak the Barbarian, and westerns and historical fiction. In the 1970s, he became best known for the bicentennial series of novels, the Kent Family Chronicles. And later, he had the very popular North and South Saga, many of which were adapted into television movies and miniseries. And Brak the Barbarian was a fantasy series created by John Jakes in the 1960s in the manner of Robert E. Howard's Conan the Cimmerian. So, let us go see. Tell the tale. Ha! Ha! Oh! Okay, here we are. Chamber of Chills #2. Now, by coincidence, not necessarily coincidence, it just so happens that John Jakes, who was the writer of the story we're about to speak about, and Gil Kane, I'll get it yet, the artist who drew this cover illustration, some years later worked together on an historical novel, prose novel, of Excalibur, an historical novel of King Arthur. See, this is a well-worn book. It's a good reading copy. I have a better copy someplace else. Find the story here. Not too far. I remember when comics had all those ads. Here we are. Spell of the Dragon. Script by John Jakes, creator of Brak the Barbarian. Art by... Art by Val Mayerik. Plot and layout by Dan Adkins. So Dan Adkins did the plot. Inked by Joe Sinnott. And then it was penciled by Val Mayerik. And Val Mayerik is an American artist. And this story was one of his first published works, just after a Conan the Barbarian story he'd drawn. He did a variety of work for Marvel, including an adaptation of one of Lynn Carter's novels of Thongor, the Lemurian swordsman. And he is best known as co-creator of Howard the Duck with writer Steve Gerber. Now here we go. So here we'll give a little introduction. Timeless Adventures of Brak. Now, to my knowledge, this is the first comic version of Brak. If there are any earlier ones, I've never seen them. And there did at least a few more stories. I think an adaptation of one of John Jake's stories done later in either Savage Tales, black and white magazine, or a backup story in a couple of issues of Savage Sword of Conan. I'm not sure which. And look here, this witch. See, and remember, this Val was fairly new to the professional comics art. Look at this. This is the old witch, and she looks so much like the old witch, the horror host from the EC Comics Haunt of Horror. I think that's kind of funny. He said, "The villagers say you hate them, witch woman. Yeah. Then why do you seek me out? Here's Brak, blonde-haired barbarian with a long braid, and he wears a lion skin around his loins. Sword, shield. He's talking to the witch. Because I need both a sword. It takes both a sword and a spell to slay the dragon thing. So he was hired by a village to slay a dragon monster. So the witch tells him, yeah, she'll do it for a price, and he pays her price, but he says, but you must follow my instructions completely. But they don't tell us what those instructions are. And Valina, that's the witch, cackles on. And at leave-taking, Brak's face is in a sullen mood. There's no other way? None. You must slay the beast when the sun's at its zenith tomorrow, while I work a spell. If you lay eyes on another human being within 1 hour afterwards, your spell will make me kill him. Or the fanged monster will rise again." And then here's his village gal that he had gotten, Brak had gotten to know. He was to take her with him for a while. And then here they are writing. It's nice artwork. Decent storytelling. This is a really nice panel right here. Some decent horse figure. And a lovely young lady. Then he takes a brief rest because he's got some hours to kill. Oh no! He dozes off. Wakes up. Oh my gosh! It's almost too late. He rushes. There's that double page ad. Gets to the spot. Here's the monster, and at the same time, the old witch is in her hovel casting the spell. Yab Hagath, the unspeakable. Yab Hagath, that's a god, demon god, whatever, mentioned much in the Brak stories. And it's very reminiscent of the names of gods and such from H.P. Lovecraft stories. Grant the accomplishment of that which I have so long desired and prayed for at thy red-streaked altar. So she's got something nefarious going on. Here he is coming down to and there he is. All you see is just the leg. It's a good spot there because you don't yet know what it is. But you can see the leg of the monster right there as he comes into view around the rocks. Here you get to see it. It's a pterosaur, something reminiscent of a pterosaur. It looks like an allosaurus since it's got 3 fingers. But what I want to show is right here. Okay, keep showing the sun. Keep the sun in sight. It breathes out a stink worse than the crypt. Can iron and spells destroy such a thing? Now look at this figure here. Remember, he's new to this stuff. But that figure right there, especially that arm, that is just a beautiful, beautifully drawn arm. The contours, the muscles, the shapes, it's beautiful. The other arm, just as much. And then the tight close-up of the dragon beast. Ha ha ha! Closer, pony, don't fail me now! There he is, rushing in, and a single thrust. The broadsword drives deep. The world tilts. The pony screams and tumbles. Blah! But when the last mighty crash dies away and Brak's senses clear from a bone-wrenching fall, there is a new stench. The death smell. It could just as easily have been mine. Now will Valina's spell keep it dead? Probably didn't need the spell at all, really. But here we see, with all the noise and stuff, the girl was concerned for Brak's welfare. And she creeped up to where he was. And he's thinking here, only an hour now, then it'll be over. If I stare at you, dragon, there's no chance of me seeing anyone else, and so be forced to kill that one. But see, she doesn't know about that. And she comes around and calls his name, Brak! And he's startled, and he turns around and goes, go back, don't look at me! There he is, looking right at her. Oh, what happened? What happened? Because we immediately cut back to the old witch. Here she is, and Brak is blindfolded. He's walking into the hovel. Barbarian, is it done? Less than an hour ago. So it's only been less than an hour since he killed the beast. But you're hurt, else why that binding on your eyes? I've seen it before somewhere. I held woman around the waist of a girl whose beauty you hated. I wore her sash. Kind of forgot to draw the sash in those other panels. I wore her sash so that I'd see no one until now. So while he's still under the spell, he takes it off and he sees the old witch woman. Of course, we don't see it, but we know he kills her because she was jealous of this beautiful young lady's beauty. And beautiful she is. Look at her. Look at that figure. Beautiful figure. Over here, the other ones, you can see her face. I'd sooner not have earned my pay from your village the way I did. But Valina was treacherous, and if the sun hadn't blinded you when you turned toward me after slaying the dragon, her spell would have forced you to kill me, which is exactly what the witch wanted. But remember, it kept showing that sun right here. You can see that sun directly behind her. So when he turned around, he was blinded by the sun and didn't see her. Thank the gods you groped for my sash and tied it round your brow instead. Still, I wonder, was there truly a spell to help me slay the dragon, or did I do it alone? I guess I'll never know. And that's the end. But I like the way here you see him taking the thing off, and the old witch cowering against the wall, and you can see Brak's shadow cast upon her, and then he gets closer. It gets closer, it's building tension as she raves. Yab Hagath, attend and kill him. Hear me. And then, of course, it switches to the outside. And then for the final panel. Nice bit of storytelling. The whole thing. It's a short story. And as I said, it was apparently plotted by Adkins. What was his first name? Dan Adkins, who Val Mayerik had been an assistant for. He was also an artist, primarily an inker, from what I understand. I like that image of the witch right there. And here he is all dark and broody. But But John Jakes did the script. So even though Dan Adkins may have done the basic plot story, these are all John Jakes' own words. And I'm sure he had, being into science fiction and fantasy, he had a lot of connections to comics. Whether he wrote any other stuff specifically for comics, I don't know. It would be interesting to find out. And even though Jakes has been a popular author for historical fiction, he did some of the other stuff of the Middle Ages. He's best known for American history and Civil War period, because I think that's what he seems to like the best, and that's what he's had the most success at from. This is the stuff that I like. This is an audiobook. I have the novel somewhere. This is an audiobook of The Mark of the Demons and the Brak the Barbarian with a Frank Frazetta cover. And I think that's all we've got. I'd like to see John Jakes revisit Brak and do a full new Brak novel, but I guess he probably won't ever do it. He's 88 years old. So that's all. Remember, comics are art. Thank you very much. Subscribe, share, all that stuff.